Tips on loneliness. This one just says, ADHD, are you in a relationship? Oh, the gossip, the juice. And yet he walks around me and then just sits very, very near me. Hello, this is fun. Filming outside. I've kind of never filmed outside like this before, in public. Like, I'm trying to step out of my comfort zone here because of the social anxiety aspect of it. This is very nerve-wracking to me, but I'm doing it. Do I feel safe? Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I asked a bunch of you on Instagram to send me questions. I think we'll start with the obvious question. How old are you? 29. Let's move on. And that's kind of terrifying to think that next year I'll be 30 because I am nowhere near where I want to be in life. So yeah, 29, we'll just leave it at that. Do you still see a therapist? No, unfortunately not. I wish I did, honestly, but because I pay for it, I cannot afford that right now. Like, I think it went up to like 50 quid a session, and your girl ain't got 50 quid in the bank, let alone spare. So if I could, I would. This isn't a question, but it says, I came across your reel and it was a great relief for me. And that means a lot because the reels that I put up are very raw, very vulnerable, very kind of honest. And as a lot of you will know, I do it to try and help other people feel less alone with how they are feeling. I'm really glad that my reels are helping people. Favorite music artist? Ooh, this is a good one. I feel like I go through phases of liking bands or artists more. It's like one time it will be this and then the next time it will be that. I've always been very guarded with who I listen to. It's a big like social anxiety thing where I was like so scared of telling people who I actually listen to, and instead I would like adjust my music tastes to the people around me. So if I was like around a certain person, I'd listen to the kind of music that they would like, that kind of thing. And I was never true to myself in being like, actually I don't want to listen to that. Yeah, it doesn't quite answer the question, does it though? At the moment I would say I am absolutely loving Taylor Swift. Like seeing her on tour, doing 42 songs a night, 3.5 hour shows every night, dancing as well as singing. Like the whole choreography for it, like, is pretty phenomenal. I actually did a show the other night where it was like, it was an open stadium, 70,000 people, and it was just pissing it down the whole time. I'm just like, how strong is your immune system? Like, if I did that, I would get cold like that. I have a very like big range when it comes to my music taste. Like Taylor Swift, great. She's like pop, but like a country, maybe folky kind of stuff. She does all sorts, to be fair. But then on the other spectrum to that, I absolutely love a heavy metal band. You know, as you do. Symphonic metal. It's a band called Nightwish. There was one year, I feel like it was 2020. You know when Spotify do their like Wrapped, I was in the 0.001% of fans, of top fans. So that's how much I like them and love them and listen to them a lot. Not a question, but I think you're so funny and you'd make a great TV presenter. I have had that a lot. I don't know why. I think I'd make a terrible TV presenter. Ew, what is climbing on me? Ew, like a white spider? Cool, that's what you get for filming in the middle of a field. Have you ever traced your family history? I think I did like a free trial of, was it ancestry.com or something? All I know from that is basically ancestor came from Germany. I think it was like a sugar baker or something in the 1800s, which is pretty cool. Ich heiße Kate. That's all I got. Woo! It's an ant, it's fine. Okay, I'm not gonna die. I'm a little bit terrified of bugs. So this is a good idea. Favorite cheese? Very important question. This is a very important question. I should have said this one first. I don't know why I didn't. I'm so sorry. Do you want to know? Get off of my mat. I think I'd have to say brie. Is that really boring? I just love brie. It's just brilliant. Oh, that's so immature of you. I don't know. I don't give a damn. Yeah, we can rule that one out. Okay, someone else is coming. Should make him really anxious now. Oh, this is fun. Literally sitting right now, like right next to me. Like it's literally lying down. It's time to move. Like there's this whole massive field, and yet he walks around me and then just sits very, very near me. and then he lies down, and then he sits up, and then he's just staring at me. And I was like, yeah, seen enough true crime, I'm out of here. I don't think I've ever packed up so quickly in my life. I kind of almost thought, like, if I start packing up, is he gonna start talking to me? Is he gonna come over? Is he gonna say something? I think any man of any moral decency, if you saw a young female, granted, still young, okay, 29, if you saw a young female sitting on a picnic blanket in the park by yourself, would you then go over and sit near her? Like, there's this whole big green behind me. No, you wouldn't. Weird. I have just been to Tesco's, got some bits for dinner. We are going to continue the Q&A back where it's a little bit safer. Safety comes first. I feel really like paranoid right now. I am back home now, and I was thinking on the way home, like, people are probably going to think that that was like a big overreaction, but I'd rather overreact and be safe than underreact and not be safe. It's kind of a shame that it ended out like that, because I was actually kind of enjoying filming in public. Like, it was weirdly freeing and liberating to just sit out in nature on a beautiful day and just chat, you know? I was having a good time until Mr. Weirdo came along. Like, man, what are you doing? Truthfully, do you hate seeing CFers doing better than you regarding lung function? Absolutely not. I love to see people with CF thriving. I feel like when I was younger, okay, rude, whatever. When I was younger and I wasn't very aware of my thoughts and whatever, I was an unconscious person, I hadn't woken up yet, I probably would have been jealous of people who had like high lung function. But I also wasn't like I didn't have a really bad lung function. Like, I was always in the middle, and I was always very grateful for that. Truthfully, I'm just so happy that so many other people are thriving with CF now, because I know when I was younger, I never thought that was a possibility. I didn't believe that I had a future. Like, life expectancy was 32 and I'm 29. Oh! But because of this new medication, like, I am going to be living longer than 32. Fingers crossed, providing I don't get, you know, kidnapped by a weird, creepy man in the park. There's always that, isn't there? Should we get you some food? Oh, yes, okay. Yes. Yeah. Doesn't even want it. Unbelievable. How are you really doing? How long have you got? I think lately I've been going through waves of feeling incredibly inadequate, and that's not a word that I use lightly. I think I just feel really inadequate in like every part of my life. Kind of sad really to say out loud, but I feel inadequate in my relationship. I don't feel like I'm good enough. I feel inadequate in my career. Like I said earlier, like I am not where I want to be at 29. This is not what I had planned in mind, and it almost feels like I'm trying and I keep trying, and it just never gets there. Does anyone understand how I feel? I feel so inadequate in social situations, man. There's just been time after time where I am just terrible in social situations. Like, I really try to make a conversation, but my brain just goes blank. Like, the anxiety just comes in and just steps in and just acts as like a blocker. Like, and I'm like, what do I say? And I have nothing to say. And then that either results in me looking really rude to people. We have a guest. Please introduce yourself. I'm so sorry, the camera is exactly where you want to go. I know it is. I actually wrote something the other day in my notes. Just find sometimes it's just easier to write thoughts down. I wrote this on the 18th of May. Inadequate. A word I used to describe myself back in 2015, but feels more and more relevant recently. 2015 was like a really bad year for me mentally. Inadequate with opportunities. Like, recently I've been asked by 2 separate podcasts to be on their podcast, and I'm like, I don't feel good enough for that. Like, I feel inadequate. Like, what do I say? Brand deals, like sponsorships coming through, and I'm just like, I don't feel good enough to make content for you. Like, I just feel inadequate. So inadequate with opportunities, inadequate within my relationship with my partner, inadequate in social situations, like I said, inadequate in my career. What am I doing with this life? I don't know. Literally inadequate in every aspect of my life. And I know healing isn't linear and bad seasons are inevitable, but sometimes I feel like I'm back at square one. I just feel so shit at everything, and I just feel like I'm not good enough to even try anymore. And it's literally eating me alive. And it might seem really weird that I'm saying this at the moment, like literally no emotion. I'm like, yeah, I'm just feeling inadequate. But like last week, I don't know what happened last week. Like it was this weird thing where I just kind of shut down mentally. People are asking me, are you okay? And I was just like so numb. I just kind of shut down and was just like not quite there. So how am I really doing? Shit. If you could say anything to your younger self, what would it be? Now, I remember when my counsellor asked me that question, without skipping a beat, I immediately said, I'm sorry. Which is a little bit sad. Why are you sorry, Kate? I'm sorry that life has turned out this way. Sorry that we're not where you thought you'd be. You know, I'm sorry that you don't have any friends. I'm sorry that you're not doing what you love for a living. I'm sorry that I let you down. Just want to say that I'm trying. Yeah, that's what I'd say to my younger self. What would you say to your younger self? Maybe something a little bit more positive? It's not really a happy thing to say to your younger self, is it, actually, considering? I think they meant that question as like, what advice would you give to your younger self? And I'm just like sat here being like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Are you in a relationship? Oh, the gossip, the juice. God, relationships are like so difficult, aren't they? Like, Disney can go fuck yourself. You gave us all false hope that that's what love would be like, but it's not. Like, relationships are so complicated. Pretty sure it's like normal to argue in relationships. Like, at what point is it not normal? I'm the problem, it's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's literally always me. And like I said, I feel like I'm not good enough in my relationship at the moment. And here's the thing, like, because I don't have any female friends, I can't ask someone, is this normal? Is this okay? Like, I don't know. I really don't know. Yes, I am in a relationship. Oh, my chicken. How are you feeling, Kate? Over the cold flu? Yeah, I don't know what it was, but I am over it. I feel I'm still snotty. How am I still snotty? I don't know. That is really loud. You not? Tips on loneliness. I think I'm going to do a whole video on this because I have a lot to say, as I have a lot of experience on the subject. But I think for now, and this is like so hypocritical of me to say, but if you're, in terms of if you want friends, if you're looking for friends, I know because of social anxiety, you have to leave the house. I know. What is this? That's probably a really bad tip if you have social anxiety like me. I think at the end of the day, you've got to figure out which is worse. Is it the discomfort of the short-term pain of the social anxiety, or is it the long-term discomfort, the absolute hell that is loneliness? You've got to weigh up which one. Like, the social aspect of it is going to be really uncomfortable to begin with, but in the long term, loneliness is just like the killer, right? We don't want to feel lonely. So if you can, like, challenge yourself, like work on your limiting beliefs, talk to a counselor and try and just like really kind of figure out where your limiting beliefs are, and then go from there to try and overcome the social anxiety, to just kind of get past it and just do it and just keep doing it. How were you able to open up about loneliness? I tell you what, like, I think it had gotten to the point where I just didn't care anymore. Like, I was just so numb to it. I was at that point. That's probably the best thing that you can do. There's a tip. Tip on loneliness. Talk to people. Tell people that you're lonely. I know, it's hard to do, believe me. I made a whole video on it. Because people don't do that. Not enough people do that. They hide it because they're ashamed of it, because they're embarrassed of it. The first step to overcoming a problem is acknowledging it's a problem in the first place. So there you go. There's your tip on loneliness, and I will be making that video very soon. I actually wanted to do this with Borsan, but I went to 3 separate shops and no shops had Borsan. In fact, maybe that's my favorite cheese, Borsan cheese. Anyway, I found this garlic and herb roux, so that might have to do, and also some garlic and herb Philadelphia. Well, it's always a disaster when I try and cook by myself. Anyway, that's my dinner. What is your Etsy shop about? I actually didn't put this on to showcase my shop, but I just put it on because I'm cold. My shop, Evidently I Can, is all about mental health. Make items of clothing that actually help people rather than all of the toxic positivity we see out there. You know, good vibes only. Cannot stand toxic positivity. So my shop is about promoting things that will actually help your mental health. This one just says ADHD. Actually, yes. Like, it's not officially diagnosed. My counsellor isn't qualified to diagnose me. That has to be done by a psychologist. There he is. Basically, I was talking to my counsellor about things that I was struggling with and going through. And at the end of it, she said, that sounds like you are showing symptoms of someone who has ADHD. I always thought ADHD was like the super hyperactive people who like talk and then like right over here and over here and over here and like bouncing off the walls. That was always my perception of ADHD until I started to look into it and realize there's two types of ADHD. There's the hyperactivity type and then there's the inattentive type, where you get like distracted very, very easily. There's an example that I gave my counsellor. I went into the bathroom to put moisturizer on and then I saw the sink and I was like, oh my god, that needs a clean. So then I got the spray out and I started cleaning that, and then I was like, oh my god, my bath needs a clean. Then I'm spraying the bath and then I see my electric toothbrush and I'm like, oh my god, that needs a clean. I see my rings on the side and I'm like, oh, that's where my rings were. I had no idea where they'd been for ages and now they're there. And then I'm like cleaning the toilet and then I'm cleaning the shower head, and it's like all of these things. And I just went in there to put moisturizer on, but I ended up doing like 100 little other things. People with ADHD struggle with distractions, easily distracted, very much so. Motivation, that is another big one. And hyper focusing. Most recent example, I guess, is like last week for the video. Like, that video was nowhere near complete on Monday and I had zero motivation to get it up for the next day, like nothing. And I always leave things until the last minute, and I've done this like my whole life. When I was I'm realizing I'm doing it now, I'm getting off track to talk about something else and then I'll end up talking about something else. It's exactly what happened in that loneliness video. When I tried talking about stuff, I just kind of went from here to here and there was like loads of stuff that wasn't finished. I think I edited it together to make it seem a little bit cohesive, but even so, it was like a nightmare to edit because I was just like all over the place. Anyway, see, now I'm getting off track. What was I saying? So the video had no motivation on Monday. It was meant to be up on Tuesday. Tuesday morning, because there's a deadline, I'm like, I go into hyper-focus mode and I'm doing all of this work. And if I had just put that same amount of energy, that same amount of motivation and time the day before, then it wouldn't have been this whole stressful last minute panic on Tuesday. But that's just a pattern that I've been in my whole life, and I really noticed it after I opened up my Etsy shop last year. Really passionate about, oh, this is the other thing, like with ADHD, have interest in only things that they are really passionate about or they're really excited about. If it's anything else, then it means nothing to them. Then they're dead behind the eyes kind of thing. And I really noticed that, especially in like all of my jobs. Like, I've just never been in it. But if I'm working on a project like my Etsy shop, then I'm like focusing on, I'm doing all of the research, doing all of this, and like really putting everything into it. And then what happened after my Etsy shop was released and announced, my battery is about to die. It got distracted again. You know, after I set my shop live and it was available to the public, all of that motivation just suddenly left. And I'd spent months working on this thing, and then suddenly I had no motivation for it at all. And then my mind was like, oh, what about this other business idea? But like the rational mind is like, hey, you know, you should probably like figure out this Etsy and like do more of that. But already my mind's on this other business idea. But I did set up a second business that not many people know about. When I tell you I hyper focused on that, like I did more work in like 2 days that normal people would do in like a week, but I managed to get it all done so quickly because I was so passionate about it, because I was so excited about it and motivated about it. Even if I need to go to the toilet, I won't, because I'm hyper focused on it. Like, I will wait until like I am busting to go before going. It's stuff like that. Like, there's so many examples of this. Sorry, my battery just died. There are so many like little bits like that. Like when someone's talking to me, oh my god, it's probably why I can't make any connections with anyone, because a lot of the times when people are talking to me, I just completely zone out. I'm not there. I don't know where I go, but I'm not there. And if you've watched my videos before, you probably would have noticed some of these things manifesting in my videos. I definitely think I'm more of the inattentive type, but I also do think I have hyperactivity sometimes as well. Like, if you saw the bedroom makeover series, Like episode 1, I went back and watched it and I was like, oh my god. You might think that that was just like an act, but it wasn't. It was just me that was so like hyper because I was doing something new, and because it was new and exciting, I was just like hyper all over the place. And if you watch it, like I get distracted so many times in that. I do kind of think I have both ADHD, more predominantly the inattentive type for sure. And I would love to get a diagnosis. Like I would love to go through the whole process. Although this is another thing, right? Okay, so like I get really overwhelmed if there is like a really big task ahead. Like, and this, it makes so much sense now knowing all of this. And I would love to get a diagnosis just to be like confirm it all and be like, yeah, this is the reason why you have all of these symptoms or have all of this stuff going on, or your brain doesn't quite work like everyone else's. Oh god, what was I saying? What was I saying? Bad memory. I have a terrible memory. That is another symptom of ADHD. That wasn't what I was going to say though. Because I don't like to self-diagnose when it comes to these sorts of things. I'd like a proper diagnosis from someone. I don't think we should be self-diagnosing. I get really overwhelmed when there is a big task ahead. So, for example, if someone sends me a really long message, then I really struggle with that to the point where I get so overwhelmed that I ignore it. But I can't like comprehend the big message, so I just end up kind of like panicking and like putting it to the side and then moving on and like forgetting about it, and then like a week later being like, oh my god, I never replied to that person. The amount of times, I mean, there is the reminder on my phone right now from last Friday to reply to someone on Instagram. Have I done it yet? No, because of the overwhelmness, and I really should do that tonight. But yeah, I just get overwhelmed with really big, long tasks. This is another thing as well, being late for everything. There's a reason why I'm called Late Kate, because I am known for being late for a lot of things. The inattentive type in ADHD is very hard to spot, and that's why so many, especially females I've read, go undiagnosed for years and don't end up being diagnosed until their 30s, 40s, 50s. It really got me down last year when I realized that I'm in this cycle where I will get really excited for a new project and I'd put all of everything into it, and there's so many products that I've not told anyone about but I've done, and I'd like do all the research into it, and I'd buy stuff for it, and then maybe like a couple of weeks later it's like no, I'm on to the next thing. And it's that continuous cycle all throughout my life, and I feel like I have like 100 different projects open. It's like having 100 tabs open in your brain. That's probably the best way to explain it. I should have just said that from the beginning. You're just kind of flicking from one to the other. It's just overwhelming sometimes, and it's frustrating that I'm in this cycle. But it would make so much sense if it was ADHD. Yes? You're just gonna sit behind the camera. Okay, you be cameraman. Cute. But I would love to get a diagnosis, but the reason I can't is because money. Could go through the NHS, but there's like a 3-year waiting list to be seen by a psychologist to get an ADHD diagnosis. 3 years. So the only other option is to go private and pay, but that costs maybe 500 to like $1,000 or something. I don't know. It's expensive though, and I certainly can't afford that at the moment. How do you stay motivated? That's hilarious after talking about ADHD. I'm probably not the best person to ask that question. Currently reading. This is another thing. Reading. It takes me years to finish one book because reading is like a lot of mental energy, but I love it when I do it. It's just the focus and the concentration I need, and 90% of the time my brain's like no. So I'm currently reading Atomic Habits, which I started at the beginning of the year. By the way, there's also another thing, having so many unfinished projects or so many unfinished books. I've got 3 books on the go. One which I started in 2020. What are you grateful for today? I'm grateful for you, like everyone watching this. Like, I can't tell you how much I appreciate people watching. What journal do you use? I use the 6-minute journal. I'll link it down below. It is game changer. I love it. How's your business going? Which one? My Etsy shop is, maybe I'm getting like a couple of orders a month at the moment. Not a lot, considering like how much I actually make from sweatshirts like this. Like maybe I'll make like £5. It's really not that much after all of the taxes and all the fees and the costs and shipping and everything comes out. Loneliness sucks. Are you okay after that video? It was weird. Like, after I posted that video, I had to rewatch it like immediately after I posted. What the hell? Like, I'd just been rewatching this video so many times before posting it when I was editing it. As soon as I posted it, I just like I almost forgot. And now I kind of wanted to see what other people were watching. I filmed this, I edited this, like I should know what's in there. For some reason I just had to watch it immediately after. And it almost just kind of felt like a bit of a release. Like I say to it, I'm just numb to it by now. Life advice. What life advice can I give? I mean, don't follow advice from me, because I don't know what I'm on about half the time. I feel like when you're lost, stuck, disconnected from life, you've been there for a long time, then there comes a point where there is no other option but to change. Something has to change because you've exhausted all the options and now you've hit rock bottom and you can't dig any further. It's almost just like this agitation. Like, I feel it now, this agitation, and I have for a long time. That just like something needs to change. Like, I'm just so frustrated and upset with where I am in life. It's at that point that you will try anything, even if it makes you uncomfortable. Just get out of your comfort zone. That's probably the better life advice. But it just kind of gets to a point where you just have to try anything. Try a different approach to life, or you try and like research into changing your mindset. And I do think it's really important to expand outside of your comfort zone, because as we all know, that's where the magic happens. That's where you start to grow and you start to change. This was the thing with the whole ADHD thing. I was like so desperate to change. Like, I would pour all of my energy into reading, listening to podcasts, into YouTube videos about how to change your mindset. Like, I was desperately trying to change, trying to grow, trying to make a difference in my life, and yet it all just kind of like an elastic band. Like, I'd go so far and then it would just ping back, and just go so far and it ping back. And I tried so hard to change and nothing was working. So this is a caption that I wrote for Mental Health Awareness Week. So many of us feel stuck and dissatisfied in life, but it's not inherently a bad thing. It just reinforces the fact that something needs to change. Something needs to be different. The need for exploration is the need to get uncomfortable. Get outside the comfort zone. That is the most powerful way to grow and to get unstuck. So if you feel this way, here's a little reminder to try one thing outside of your comfort zone. Not an easy thing to do, I know, but the payoff will be worth it. You got this. Wow, like I wrote this. So there's your challenge after this video. Just try and do one thing, even if it's just like a tiny little thing, outside of your comfort zone. There's my life advice, and that is the end of my TED Talk. Anyway, this has been a very long video and it's kind of been fun to film. So thank you all so much for your questions. I'm sorry if I didn't get around to answering yours. I assume I'm gonna have to cut a lot of questions out. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate everyone for watching these videos. It really makes my heart happy. And of course, I'll see you in the next one.